Welcome to a new season of our Masterclass series at 5:30 p.m. for this year 4. We've been hosting a Masterclass. It used to be earlier only one session on Saturday for teachers, but last year we ran two parallel sessions and we realized even that was not enough. So we've come up with something very interesting. These are called the emerging literacies. So every 10-year cycle, I've had the opportunity of trying to reinvent what we do. So what we've been doing as a professional learning program, where we've been talking of joy of learning, is your child ready for the world, focusing more on staff leadership development, focusing on value of values, and the way we do it using reflection, relationships, and yes, even more important, reading. What is important now, what we are realizing is that the world is moving at such an astounding, changing pace that no one knows what will be required 10, 15, 20 years from now for someone who actually enters the world then. Because the students you have with us spend about 12 to 15 years in the schooling system. And it's impossible for anyone now, with the way the world is, to say that what you will need 30 years from now. Now, historically, the three interesting things which don't change. One, we need to understand the value of finance, money. Good old days, there was barter system. I give you something, you give me something, which is as good as I give you money and you give me a service. That's one thing that won't change. Second, human beings' need for food and nutrition, that will never change. And third, humans' capacity to absorb more information, learn more, and go beyond the neocortex as to what the new learning in the world is going to be, that will never change. So let's leave everything aside. Your physics, maths, biology, chemistry, English literature won't take you anywhere as things stand. But I think what will keep you on solid ground is what we now list as emerging literacies. Because these emerging literacies will help you with communication, they will help you with creativity, they will help you with collaboration. And these are the important things which will take you far in life. Creativity, collaboration. What is important is communication. These skills will never get outdated. So if you look at his civilizations, human beings were born to collaborate. Human beings must communicate. These are the two essential C's of humans which have existed right since the days of Homo sapiens came into existence. And when I talk of Homo sapiens, I have to talk about Yuval no Harari. So in our emerging literacies in current times, I don't think there's a bigger genius than Yuval. The interesting thing about Yuval is that he is a Jew. And even more important than that, did you know 20% of Nobel laureates since Nobel Prize are Jews? This shows how much they understand today's world, how much they spend on thinking of science, how much they spend on learning. And we at the Learning Forward India Foundation are very proud and privileged to be with you in what we call the Emerging Literacies Program. The Emerging Literacies Program opened this morning. It opened at Bali. There will be 10 workshops, physical workshops, where we'll reach out to you across the country. And every workshop will be followed by our partners and us supporting you through your learning journey. So your learning journey will comprise of three paths: financial literacy, food literacy, and above all, this session on emerging literacies with reading, reflection, and relationship. So this morning, there was a session on financial literacy. Second, it was followed by a session on food literacy. And may I ask Gurdeep to please share this morning session note? There was an opening note on the session, which is there on your blog, happyteacher.in. We will start with the opening note. This is the new website of the Teachers Academy blog. Gurdeep, can you scroll up a little? So you see there's been a sea change in our blog. It's a blog which has got over 37 lakh readership. So it matters to the world what we do in professional learning. So we're really now focusing on how tech will reshape education. So let's read on. So this morning when we started the journey in Baliya, Gurdeep, could you please go down? So welcome to Baliya, the Literacy Project for Educators, episode 1 of 10. This is the first session. So it opened in Baliya this morning, the 4th day of July at 8:30. So this is a very interesting opening note which Kunal wrote. Gurdeep, would you like to read it?
Yeah, sir. So today is not an ordinary Saturday. Am I audible to everyone?
Very much indeed.
Today, for the first time, very first time, this school, this city, and these teachers become part of something much larger than any one of us in this room. We gather here today for the inaugural chapter of the Literacy Project for Educators, a nationwide initiative by the Good Schools Alliance under the Learning Forward India Foundation. And this movement has spent over 4 decades asking one simple question: who invests in the teacher? Today, we answer that question through sessions on financial literacy and food literacy, led by some of the finest minds in their fields. We begin a journey that will travel from Baliya to across India. And it all begins here. It all begins today. It all begins with you.
Wonderful. So can you expand the screen? There is a sign on the right corner of the presentation. Presentation. Look at the presentation which is below this, please.
So
There's a
this one.
presentation below, Gurdeep. This is just the logo. Yeah, here. Welcome delegates. You see, play the mouse on this. Yeah, there's expand the screen, right-hand side corner. Yeah, expand the screen. Okay. So the session opened this morning. Next slide. If you haven't signed, you could use that QR code to sign. Our chief guest was Amrita Burman. She hosted that session. It was followed by a session introduction by the host, Dr. Arun Singh, who is the kind host. He's the director of Baliya Sunbeam School, which opened to a very interesting session after Dr. Arun Singh's introduction. Arpita gave the journey, the story of the school. She is the principal at the school, which was followed by a presentation by a master trainer from Association of Mutual Funds of India. So when I talked in the beginning about financial literacy, we've had SEBI support us, and SEBI is encouraging Mutual Funds Association to help us understand what is financial literacy. So we had a professor come all the way from BHU who gave us a wonderful session on financial literacy as to what it means to transact in life. Why do we need to save? And how you can create your savings potential to take care of your requirements of old age, to care of your family, to take care of education. It really is essential because that's what you will require even 20 years from now if you haven't started. This was followed by an interesting session from FSSAI. So this is Health and Welfare Ministry who are partnering us. So we have very solid partners, and that's why today we are in webinar mode. Why we move to a webinar mode? We now need to count the number of people who attend us. We have some accountability to the government systems. To attend these seminars and attend our sessions, which will be 48 starting today, you will get a separate certificate from FSSAI and from AMFI. So do attend these sessions. Your session attendance today gets marked for a certificate. So if we are 20 people, 30 people, 40 people, 200 people, 5,000 people, you all get your certificates because our system records attendance when you came in. It also records when you exited. And yes, if you miss the session, you will have the session available on YouTube. So it is a fantastic session by the master trainer. She really told us what we don't know. How do you read a food label? How many of you actually read a food label? How do you handle food literacy? What is food literacy? So that's what we are doing. This was followed by something even more interesting, where we said your feedback matters and we wanted feedback from you. And I'm sure we will tabulate the feedback. On to the end of the session. This session is here. You don't have sound on this. You can show sound from YouTube if you have the same video on YouTube, Gurdeep.
So you were saying something?
Yeah, there's no sound in the video you're playing. So go to YouTube. The same video is available on YouTube. And then
Oh.
we'll start reading. So every month, exit this full screen, Gurdeep. So every month, when we meet here, we will have on each Saturday a different guest with me, where I will read and then the guest will take ahead the training and learning of financial and food literacy. Please choose the YouTube tab. YouTube tab. Yeah, YouTube tab. You have My Good School YouTube already on. Don't open a new one. Yeah, here you see this child, think deeply. Play that video. Yeah, this video. Please play this video. That's where we ended. Please make sure you have sound on. Skip the ad. Please skip the ad. Yeah. You can see this video. It's a 1-minute video. It's available on YouTube. Thank you, Gurdeep. Can we please move to the Kindle tab? You can shut this tab also if you don't get confused between tabs. Now you'll have only one Kindle tab left after this. Welcome to Yuval No Harari. Look at the cover of the book. And the interesting thing in this cover, if you look at it closely, can anyone tell me what this illustration is? You can ask to be unmuted or you can write in the chat box. Look at the cover. What do you think is this round circle out there? What we are trying to focus on? Take a guess. You can write in the chat box if you want to speak. Fantastic, Prachi, you hit the nail on the head. So you look at the iris, look at your iris in a very enlarged format. And this is a painting which is there. You must find the story of this painting. It's a fascinating story about this painting. I read about it this morning. I don't want to tell you the story of the painting because we are limited on time. So what are the 21 lessons for the 21st century? Let's unfurl the story. Let's go on. So this book is published by Vintage. The name is 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. And we will find out who Yuval Noah Harari is. Now, these are the contents. So part 1 deals with technological change. That's what you need to understand. What technology is doing to us. It deals about political change. There's despair and hope. What is truth? It tries to handle this very important question. Truth, and the beautiful part is that even talks of post-truth. So when we talk of truth, we realize so often that what you hear often as ignorance becomes truth. So how do you find truth in this complicated world? What truth means to you? What truth means to you in the digital world? What truth means to you in this hard world? This is what we'll try and discover. We'll discover resilience. It's part of emerging literacy. It's important. And in resilience, most important thing is a chapter on education. And that's why we chose the book. If you ask me, I would just read chapter 19 today. But I think we will read book chapter by chapter, the meaning of resilience, and finally, how you will find yourself. It goes as far as meditation and a deep reference to India. Here's a book, 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. Yuval Noah Harari has a PhD in history from the University of Oxford and now lectures at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, specializing in world history. His books, Sapiens, Homo Deus, and 21 Lessons for the 21st Century have become an international phenomena. हम इस किताब को पढ़ेंगे और कोशिश करेंगे इस किताब का संदेश आप तक सब तक पहुंचाएं। ये कहानी है, कहानी तो इसे नहीं कहा जाता क्योंकि ये हिस्ट्री है, ये सिविलाइजेशन की स्टोरी है। और युवाल नोआ हरारी ने ह्यूमन जो होमोसेपियन है उसकी बड़ी डीप स्टडी करी है और उस स्टडी को उन्होंने पब्लिश किया है। और ये आज की तारीख में इस सेंचुरी के माने हुए थिंकर हैं दुनिया के लेवल पे। सो उन्होंने हिस्ट्री ऑफ मैनकाइंड भी लिखी थी पहले कि मैनकाइंड कहाँ से बना और कहाँ पहुंचा। और एक इन्होंने होमो डियस किताब की है, ब्रीफ हिस्ट्री ऑफ टुमारो। इफ ऑल गोज वेल वी मे फॉलो अप विद दिस अदर लिटरेचर एज वी गो अलोंग, बट आवर फर्स्ट टास्क इज टू रीड 21 lessons. Let's see what has in store for you. So he's dedicated this book I want to go back to the dedication. Dedicated with love to my husband, Itzik, for his unbound trust and brilliance, to my mother, Nina, for always caring and supporting, and my grandmother, Fanny, for her inexhaustible and selfless joy. Why I wanted to read this. देखो इन्होंने क्या लिखा. To my husband, Itzik. Gurdeep, can you throw some light on this?
Yeah, even I'm surprised, to be very honest. Why is he writing my
Oh,
husband? It's sick.
I'll tell you
I
that.
was, yeah,
So
reading this
he
again. Huh.
stays in he stays in Israel, and Israel marriage in the same sex is not permitted. It's
Okay.
not recognized. So he went to Canada and married Itzik.
Okay.
So Itzik is his partner who created this whole Sapiens brand and story, and they live together. So they're legally married with a Canadian marriage laws, and they live in Israel. And Israel, let me tell you, is very, very deep in thinking research. Israel shakes the Wall Street of America. That much control Israel has over America. Israel has the largest number of startups in the world. It's called the startup nation. That's the beauty of Israel. So we are trying to understand how these people sitting in the center of East and West have taken benefit of Eastern wisdom and Western science and learning. That's what Israel has beautifully done. It's captured the Eastern wisdom. They are very fanciful about the Indian yoga, meditation. The number of Israelis that come to India is actually fantastic. It's very, very deep. Our relationship in India was one of the early countries to recognize Israel, though we championed Palestine. But India welcomes and hold good relationship with entire mankind. So we've always believed in that policy. So that's why this dedication I wanted to show to you. It's forward thinking. Tomorrow your companion could be anyone you live with. And marriage, how you presume historically, may not be thought of marriage as you look at it for the future. Because if you look at it historically, civilizations pehle, there was no marriage ceremony like you have a destination wedding. All the things we do today and all the customs we've developed around this institution called marriage, it's become transaction like Father's Day, Mother's Day. So these are all consumer driven stories, consumer driven products. ये सब जो कहानी हम सोचते हैं बड़ी मार्केट ड्रिवन है. दुनिया बहुत मार्केट ड्रिवन है. तो ओरिजिनली जब इंसान इकट्ठे रहते थे, हम आपस में इकट्ठे रहते थे. मैरिज कोई चीज ही नहीं थी. यू जस्ट स्टेड विद एनीवन यू फेल्ट लाइक, एज सिंपल एज दैट. और आप अब देखिए, अब ऐसी सिचुएशन दोबारा आ रही है जिंदगी में जब हमारे बच्चे हमारे साथ नहीं रहेंगे और हम अकेले रह जाएंगे. अब जैसे मैं यहाँ अकेला रहता हूँ, अगर मेरा कोई दोस्त होगा, हम इकट्ठे रहेंगे तो हम एक दूसरे का सहारा बन सकते हैं. तो ऐसे ही ये जो कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ मैरिज है, इवन दैट इज क्वेश्चन टुडे. सो दीज आर द काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स आई थिंक टीचर्स शुड बी अवेयर ऑफ. I know this is not your physics, chemistry, mathematics. Let me tell you, there'll be no CBSE 10 years from now. Look
But
what
this
I'm
is a
saying on a
society,
record.
this is a society we live in.
Yes, this is a society we live in, and I'm saying something very loudly. All your IBs, CBSEs, ICSE will not survive. They were not there 100 years back. So why will they be 10 years from now, 20 years from now? Let's go ahead. In a world deluged by irrelevant information, clarity is power. In theory, anybody can join the debate about the future of humanity, but it is so hard to maintain a clear vision. Frequently, we don't even notice that a debate is going on or what the key questions are. Billions of us can hardly afford the luxury of investigating because we have more pressing things. Pause here. Think what he's saying. Work to do, take care of kids, look after elderly parents. Unfortunately, history gives no discount. If the future of humanity is decided in your absence because you are too busy feeding and clothing your kids, you and they will not be exempt from the consequences. This is very unfair. But who said history was fair? As a historian, I cannot give people food or clothes, but I can try and offer some clarity, thereby helping a level the global playing field. If this empowers even a handful of additional people to join the debate about the future of our species, I have done my job. My first book, Sapiens, surveyed the human past, examining how an insignificant ape became the ruler of planet Earth. Homo Deus, my second book, explored the long-term future of life, contemplating how humans might eventually become gods and what might be the ultimate destiny of intelligence and consciousness. Just yesterday, day before, don't know if you read the editorial page of the Times of India. We have been able to create a human cell. We have reached that far. And this is an experiment being done in public domain. It's a university in the United States of America. Now, if we have been able to create a human cell, and with the way AI is going, it's not far that we may be able to create something which is a life form, which is absolutely lifelong and more than that. Let's read on. So we will introduce the book, which we have done. And in this book, I want to zoom in on the here and now, but without losing the long-term perspective. How can insights about the distant past and distant future help us make sense of current affairs and of the immediate dilemmas of human societies? What is happening right now? What are today's greatest challenges and choices? आप लोग टीचर हैं, अगर आप में ये अवेयरनेस नहीं होगी कि दुनिया में इस वक्त क्या हो रहा है, तो आप बच्चे को कैसे तैयार करेंगे कल के लिए? ये सोचते हुए हम इस किताब को पढ़ रहे हैं। किताब अंग्रेजी में है, बट अगर आपको कोई सवाल पूछना है, सो आस्क टू बी अनम्यूटेड, वो आप कर सकते हैं। ये वेबिनार फॉर्मेट है, इसमें 500 की कैपेसिटी है, हमारे पास 350 के रजिस्ट्रेशन आ चुके हैं और आज लोग आपको कम नजर आएंगे अंदर, क्योंकि आज एक वर्कशॉप डे था और मेजॉरिटी लोग हमारा यूट्यूब चैनल देखते हैं। एक जो यूट्यूब वीडियो हम आपको दिखाने की कोशिश कर रहे थे, आपको हैरानी होगी, 22,480 बार वो चल चुका है वीडियो आज सुबह 8 बजे तक। सो छोटा सा वीडियो है 1 मिनट का, आप उसे प्लीज देखिए और सोचिए। वो वीडियो अवेलेबल है हमारी वेबसाइट पे schooleducation.com। उसका शीर्षक है थिंक डीपली। उस वीडियो की टाइमिंग और ये हमारा होल ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन ऑफ वे ऑफ डूइंग टीचिंग लर्निंग is all because of we are really deeply investing in emerging literacies, and I promise you this program will change the way we learn throughout the country, because इस प्रोग्राम को बिल्ड करने के लिए हम 10 जगह फिजिकली जा रहे हैं और हम 1000 टीचर से ज्यादा टीचर्स को प्रॉमिस करते हैं मिलेंगे। हमने 1000 का नंबर रखा है, बाय द वे हम आज 200 को हम आज ही मिल चुके हैं। तो ये 1000 का नंबर हमारे लिए कुछ नहीं है, क्योंकि हमने 10 जगह जाना है टीचर्स को मिलने, और हमारी टीम इस वक्त ग्राउंड पे है। हमारी टीम देश भर में 10 जगह जाएगी, फिर 10 जगह से हम लोगों को देहरादून लाएंगे, 10 वर्कशॉप हम देहरादून में भी करेंगे, और फाइनली हम नवंबर में एक रिट्रीट करेंगे जिसको माई गुड स्कूल रिट्रीट बोलते हैं, जो हर साल होती है वाराणसी में। सो मुझे उम्मीद है कि हम तकरीबन इस छोटे से 6 महीने में कम से कम 2,500-3,000 लोगों को मिलेंगे और उनको ये इमर्जिंग लिटरेसी की स्टोरी बताएंगे। Of course, 7 billion people have 7 billion agendas. And as already noted, thinking about the big picture is a relatively rare luxury. ये हमें समय नहीं मिलता ये सोचने के लिए कि कहानी क्या है जिंदगी की। A single mother struggling to raise 2 children in a Mumbai slum is focused on the next meal. Refugees in a boat in the middle of the Mediterranean scan the horizon for any sign of land. And a dying man in an overcrowded London hospital gathers all his remaining strength to take one more breath. They all have far more urgent problems than global warming or the crisis of liberal democracy. No book can do justice to all of that. and I don't have lessons to teach people in such situations. I can only hope to learn from them. Take your learning forward. Please be with us on this journey. What the author is saying, I'm trying to give the author a voice. I'm trying to be the author's voice. So I'm saying ये मेरी आवाज भी है. मेरी आवाज सुनो. My agenda here is global. I look at major forces that shape societies all over the world, and I'm really trying to do that for myself, and that are likely to influence the future of our planet as a whole. Climate change may be far beyond the concerns of people in the midst of life and death emergency, but it might eventually make the Mumbai slums uninhabitable, send enormous new waves of refugees across the Mediterranean, and lead to a worldwide crisis in healthcare. Reality is composed of many threads, and this book tries to cover different aspects of our global predicament without claiming to be exhaustive. Unlike Sapiens and Homo Deus, it is not intended as a historical narrative, but rather a selection of lessons. So ये जो 21 lessons हैं, मैं आपको दोबारा आपसे गुजारिश करता हूं और कहता हूं उनको गौर से ध्यान दीजिए और हर एक लेसन पे रिफ्लेक्शन लिखिए, हर एक रिफ्लेक्शन के बारे में सोचिए. हर एक टीचर को हमको 21 रिफ्लेक्शन भेजने हैं साल में. अगर आप 21 रिफ्लेक्शन भेजेंगे, हम आपको लर्निंग फॉरवर्ड से एक सर्टिफिकेट अरेंज करके देंगे. लर्निंग फॉरवर्ड दुनिया के सबसे बड़ी प्रोफेशनल लर्निंग एसोसिएशन है, और जब लर्निंग फॉरवर्ड की कॉन्फ्रेंस होती है उसमें 5,000 से ज्यादा लोग आते हैं, और इतनी बड़ी कॉन्फ्रेंस होती है कि कई कंट्रीज में इतनी बड़ी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर फैसिलिटीज नहीं है कि ऐसी कॉन्फ्रेंस हो सके. सो आप इतनी बड़ी इंस्टीट्यूशन का हिस्सा बनने जा रहे हैं, तो आप समझिए लर्निंग फॉरवर्ड के स्टैंडर्ड्स कितने इंपॉर्टेंट है. और आप अगर इसे अटेम्प्ट करेंगे समझने के लिए कि इमर्जिंग लिटरेसीज क्या हैं, जो थॉट प्रोसेस ये किताब आपको देगी, मैं अवश्य आपको प्रॉमिस करता हूं यू विल बिकम अ बेटर टीचर. These lessons do not conclude with simple answers. They aim to stimulate further thinking and help readers participate in some of the major conversations of our time. The book was actually written in conversation with public. So ये book actually dialogues है. Many of the chapters were composed in response to questions I was asked by readers, journalists, colleagues. Earlier versions of some segments were already published in different forms, which gave me the opportunity to receive feedback and hone my arguments. Some sections focus on technology, some on politics, some on religion, and some on art. Certain chapters celebrate human wisdom. Others highlight the crucial role of human stupidity. But the overreaching question remains the same. What is happening in the world today? And what is the deep meaning of events? What does the rise of Donald Trump signify? What can we do about the epidemic of fake news? Why is liberal democracy in crisis? Is God back? Is a new world war coming? Which civilization dominates the world? The West? China? Islam? Should Europe keep its doors open to immigrants? Can nationalism solve the problem of inequality and climate change? What should we do about terrorism? Though this book takes a global perspective, I do not neglect the personal level. On the contrary, I want to emphasize the connection between the great revolutions of our era and the internal lives of individuals. ये बड़ी interesting चीज है. Revolution of an era, how does it affect you as an individual? That's what he's trying to explain. For example, terrorism is both a global political problem and an internal psychological mechanism. Terrorism works by pressing the fear button deep in our minds and hijacking the private imagination of millions of individuals. जब 9/11 टेरर अटैक हुआ था, ये टेररिस्ट ने बहुत ही तरीके से अचीव किया था. Similarly, the crisis of liberal democracy is played out not just in parliaments and polling stations, but also in neurons and synapses. आप खबर पढ़ते हैं और न्यूज को फॉलो करते हैं, न्यूज बिलीव मी आपके माइंड को हिलाती है। और एक रूडोल्फ, एक किताब मैंने गुरदीप को बताई थी। वो कहते हैं न्यूज मत पढ़ो। गुरदीप, आपको याद है जो हम पढ़ने जा रहे थे वो किताब, वो रुक गया है बीच में उसमें। वो किताब बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग थी। वी शुड नॉट रीड द न्यूज इफ यू डोंट वांट टू बिकम इनसेन। सो पढ़िए उस किताब को भी, उसकी मैं आपको शो नोट्स में डिस्क्रिप्शन और दे दूंगा। The crisis of liberal democracy is played out just in parliaments and polling stations, but also in neurons and synapses. It is a cliche to note that the personal is political, but in an era when scientists, corporations, and governments are learning to hack the human brain, this truism is more sinister than ever. Accordingly, this book offers observations about the conduct of individuals as well as entire societies. ये जो किताब है, एक इंडिविजुअल और पूरी सोसाइटी को एक तरीके से आपके सामने आईने में रिफ्लेक्शन में पेश करेगी। A global world puts unprecedented pressure on our personal conduct and morality. हमने मोरालिटी, जिसके आप, जैसे मैंने आपको मैरिज बताई थी सेम जेंडर की जो किताब की शुरुआत में थी, it's a question of morality, you will say. But that's an agenda which has been put on in our mind. So it's a perspective, I must say. Each of us is ensnared with numerous all-encompassing spider webs. हम एक मकड़ी के जाल में फंसे हुए हैं, which on the one hand restricts our movements. क्योंकि माइंड में जो कॉबवेब है वो हमारी मूवमेंट्स को रोकता है, but at the same time transmit our tiniest jiggle to faraway destinations. Our daily routines influence the lives of people and animals halfway across the world, and some personal gestures can unexpectedly set the entire world ablaze, as happened with the self-immolation of Mohammed Bouazizi in Tunisia, which ignited the Arab Spring, and with the women who shared their stories of sexual harassment and sparked the Me Too movement. एक छोटा सा स्पार्क, एक छोटी सी चिंगारी कहां तक पहुंच जाती है आज की दुनिया में। This global dimension of our personal lives means that it is more important than ever to uncover our religious and political biases, our racial and gender privileges, and our unwitting complicity in institutional oppression. But is that a realistic enterprise? How can I find a firm ethical ground in a world that extends far beyond my horizons, that spins completely out of human control, that holds all gods and ideologies suspect? The book begins by serving the current political and technological predicament. So these two currents of today, politics and technology, are governing everyone's lives. At the close of the 20th century, it appeared that the great ideological battle between fascism, communism, and liberalism resulted in the overwhelming victory of liberalism. So look at the last century. There was fascism, there was communication, there was liberalism. They all fought. So West was portraying liberalism, part of Europe gave you fascism, part of another continent gave you communism. Each said that I'm a better solution. Democratic politics, human rights, and free market capitalism seemed destined to conquer the entire world. But as usual, history took an unexpected turn. And after fascism and communism collapsed, now liberalism is in a jam. So where are we heading? This question is particularly poignant because liberalism is losing credibility exactly when the twin revolutions of information technology and biotechnology. So these are the two things which are your emerging literacies, information technology and biotechnology, confront us with the biggest challenges of our species has ever encountered. The merger of infotech and biotech might soon push billions of humans out of the job market and undermine both liberty and equality. We all live for liberty and equality. Big data algorithms might create digital dictatorships in which all power is concentrated in the hands of tiny elite, while most people suffer not from exploitation, but from something far worse, irrelevance. when you and me don't matter, it's a very, very difficult time in life. I discussed the merger of infotech and biotech at length in my previous book, Homo Deus, where he's talking of the future. But whereas the book focused on the long-term prospects, taking the perspective of centuries and even millennia, this book concentrates more on immediate social, economic, and political crisis. That's why we have chosen this book, because it's relevant to the current times. My interest here lies in the eventual creation of inorganic life. The more in the threat to the welfare state and to a particular institution such as the European Union. देखिए वो क्या कह रहा है कि my eventual creation lies in inorganic life. And I give you an example about how inorganic life has happened. And it happened only last week when a cell was manufactured. The book, and by the way, this book was written 7 years back. It's not a new book. And what he wrote 7 years back has happened today. It happened day before the news item came. It was there all over. And there were pictures of it. I don't know if many of you saw about a cell being manufactured. The book does not attempt to cover all the impacts of the new technologies. In particular, though technology holds many wonderful promises, my intention here is to highlight mainly the threats and dangers. Since the corporations and entrepreneurs who lead the technological revolution naturally tend to sing the praises of their creations, it falls to sociologists, philosophers, and historians like myself to sound the alarm and explain all the ways things can go terribly wrong. अब आप देखिए, सिविलाइजेशंस में सोशियोलॉजिस्ट, फिलोसफर और हिस्टोरियन हमेशा रहे हैं. आज आप जगह दे रहे हैं टेक्नोलॉजिस्ट को. Science as well as human science. Now, when I say human science, I talk of human beings from the era of Homo Deus, from Homo sapiens to Homo Deus, which is civilizations. आप देखेंगे आपको माइथोलॉजी बना के दी गई है, आपको स्टोरीज दी गई हैं. आप अगर देखेंगे, आप हिस्ट्री जो पढ़ते हैं उसमें इंसानियत क्या क्या करती है. और आज चैलेंज आ रहा है, इंसानियत इज going to battle an artificial world. After sketching the challenges we face in the second part of the book, we examine a wide range of potential responses. Could Facebook engineers use AI to create a global community that will safeguard human liberty and equality? ये relevant question है ना. हम इतना Facebook को use करते हैं. Perhaps the answer is to reverse the process of globalization and re-empower the nation. Maybe we need to go back even further and draw hope and wisdom from the well springs of ancient religious traditions. आप देखिए आजकल religion भी बहुत बोल रहे हैं हम. In the third part of the book, we see that though the technological challenges are unprecedented and though the political disagreements are intense, आप ये दुनिया में देख रहे हैं, humankind can rise to the occasion if we keep our fears under control and are a bit more humble about our views. This part investigates what can be done about the menace of terrorism, about the dangers of global war, and about the biases and hatreds that spark such conflicts. The fourth part engages with the notion of post-truth, कि कुछ सच के आगे भी कुछ है, and asks to what extent we can still understand global developments and distinguish wrongdoing from justice. Wrongdoing का जो construct होता है, it's a perception, and similarly justice is a perception. कोई चीज आप समझते हैं ठीक है, मैं समझता हूं ठीक नहीं. I have a reason, you have a reason. In Homo sapiens capable of making sense of the world it has created, is there still a clear border separating reality from fiction? This is very interesting. Fiction and reality are merging. In my own life, I have seen, we used to talk of fiction and non-fiction books. That duality is gone. What is fiction? What is fact? That duality is gone in today's world. In the fifth and final part, I gather together the different threads and take a more general look at life in an age of bewilderment. Ki jo life hai, bewilderment. When the old stories have collapsed and the new story has emerged too far to replace them. Old order has collapsed, new has come. Who are we? What should we do in life? What kinds of skills do we need? Given everything we know and don't know about science, about God, about politics, and about religion. What can we say about the meaning of life today? And that's why we have used this book for our emerging literacies program. This may sound overambitious, but Homo sapiens cannot wait. Homo sapiens, you and us can't wait. Philosophy, religion, and science are all running out of time. People have debated the meaning of life for thousands of years. We cannot continue this debate indefinitely. The looming ecological crisis, the growing threat of weapons of mass destruction, and the rise of new disruptive technologies will not allow it. Time बहुत कम रह गया है. Perhaps most importantly, artificial intelligence and biotechnology are giving humanity the power to reshape and re-engineer life. Very soon, somebody will have to decide how to use this power based on some implicit or explicit story about the meaning of life. Philosophers are very patient people, but engineers are far less patient, and investors are less patient of all. If you don't know what to do with the power to engineer life, market forces will not wait 1,000 years for you to come up with an answer. The invisible hand of the market will force upon you its own blind reply unless you are happy to entrust the future of life to the mercy of the quarterly revenue reports. You need to be clear idea what life is all about. So इसको आप देखिए, जो बिजनेस एंटरप्राइजेज हैं वो क्वार्टरली अपने रिजल्ट्स निकालते हैं, और कई बार जो हम जॉब करते हैं हम रिजल्ट्स को लाइफ का सब कुछ समझते हैं. In the final chapter, I indulge in a few personal remarks, talking as one sapiens to another, just before the curtain goes down on our species and a completely different drama begins. So he's talking about curtain going down. There is work happening that humans will live forever. It just may happen in the next 50 years. Before embarking in this intellectual journey, I would like to highlight one crucial point. Much of the book discusses the shortcomings of the liberal worldview and of the democratic system. I do so not because I believe liberal democracy is uniquely problematic, but rather because I think it is the most successful and most versatile political model humans have so far developed for dealing with the challenges of the modern world. While it may not be appropriate for every society in every stage of development, it has provided its worth in more societies and in more situations than any of the alternatives. So from the 196 plus odd nations, large number have followed the democratic process where each of us has a voice, and that's the basic democracy model. I know your voice can't become policy. I know your voice is not often heard, but imagine, can 7 billion voices be heard when you're talking of a world order? Therefore, when examining the new challenges that lie ahead of us, it is necessary to understand the limitations of liberal democracy and to explore how we can adapt and improve its current institutions. Unfortunately, in the present political climate, any critical thinking about liberalism and democracy might be hijacked by autocrats and various liberal movements whose sole interest is to discredit liberal democracy rather than to engage in an open discussion about the future of humanity. I will read this, और आप कुछ बोलूंगा नहीं उसके अलावा, आप इस पैरा को मैं दोबारा पढ़ूंगा. In the present political climate, any critical thinking about liberalism and democracy might be hijacked by autocrats and various illiberal movements whose sole interest is to discredit liberal democracy rather than to engage in an open discussion about the future of humanity. Reflect. While they are more than happy to debate the problems of liberal democracy, they have almost no tolerance for any criticism directed at them. So this is where democracy is at a crux. Will it accept criticism? As an author, I was therefore required to make a difficult choice. Should I speak my mind openly, risking that my words could be taken out of context and used to justify bourgeoising autocracies, or should I censor myself? It is a mark of illiberal regimes that they make free speech more difficult even outside their borders. Due to the spread of such regimes, it is becoming increasingly dangerous to think critically about the future of the species. After some soul searching, I chose free discussion over self-censorship. Without criticizing the liberal model, we cannot repair its faults or go beyond it. But please note that this book would have been written only when the people are still relatively free to think what they like and to express themselves as they wish. If you value this book, you should also value the freedom of expression. We will start part 1 next week. So today was an introductory session on how we are taking learning forward. Gurdeep, will you please add a bookmark here? Yeah, there's a ribbon here on top on the right side, if you see. Yeah, below this, no, right on the right of your mouse, below that, yeah, just mark this, yeah. That's a bookmark when you use a Kindle. So we have finished the introduction. The part 1 is about, you will not be able to take a screenshot, I think, Gurdeep. It won't let you take a screenshot. There's some new technology we've got now. You won't be able to capture screenshots.
Okay.
So you'll have to use your critical thinking to remember where we were. So you can take a picture with your phone if you find it difficult.
Fine. Yeah, I'll put the bookmark in the group.
Yeah, do
I'll
that.
take the picture from the phone.
You can. I'll give you a simple tarika for it. In your Kindle,
Okay.
highlight part 1, the technological challenge. It'll give you an option to share. See, ये ऊपर जाओगे, ये ऊपर ऑप्शन है ना, जो कलरफुल बटन्स हैं. आप इसको दोबारा हाईलाइट करो, मैं आपको बताता हूँ. Your hand on the mouse is too fast, or your system is too fast. इसको हाईलाइट करोगे, ये कलर्स आ गए ना. अब ये कलर्स को और आगे ले जाओ, क्लिक करो और चॉइसेस आएंगी. ये मेन्यू बार पूरी नहीं है कलर्स वाली, इसको एक बार क्लिक करो. कलर को नहीं, हाँ, मेन्यू बार को राइट साइड पे ले जाओ. It gives you an option to share what you have selected. आगे चलिए, मेन्यू बार और खुलेगा, नहीं खुल रहा. आप इसको मेन्यू
I'll
बार
try
से,
this. I'll
हाँ
try
आप
this
ट्राई करना.
later.
हाँ आप ट्राई करना. It will create a poster like I have often shared. If you see in this group, I shared a
Okay.
poster. When I'm talking of the group, I'm talking about WhatsApp group. We have a
Yeah.
WhatsApp group. Gurdeep, can we share the link to the WhatsApp group for our particular session? Let's find the session and let me see if I can find this WhatsApp group for this session. It's called the time of today. It's Saturday, 5:30. Okay, so Saturday, 5:30. So I've gone to Saturday, 5:30. I will go there. I will send you all an invite in the chat. You can take that invite and join us on a WhatsApp conversation. And the WhatsApp conversation doesn't share anything beyond what is relevant to your session. We don't really end up sharing anything social. If you see, WhatsApp conversations and sharing is very, very smart. So आपको एक लिंक आया होगा चैट बॉक्स में, आप उसे कॉपी कर लीजिए या उस पर क्लिक कीजिए. अगर आपके पास फोन है तो व्हाट्सएप खुलेगा, आप उसे ज्वाइन कर लीजिए. हम इमर्जिंग लिटरेसी का सारा कंटेंट इस ग्रुप में शेयर करेंगे और हफ्ते में एक बार मिलेंगे आपकी लर्निंग को आगे ले जाने के लिए, टू टेक योर लर्निंग फॉरवर्ड. आई विल नाउ लीव द नेक्स्ट फ्यू मिनट्स फॉर अ Q&A. If someone wants to talk, please raise your hand. We'll be happy to. You can raise your hand. Gurdeep, do you see my raised hand?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I can see.
So there's a hand raising. Anurag has come in. Please unmute Anurag. Yeah, Anurag, you may please ask question. Welcome, Anurag. Anurag, please unmute and speak. Anurag, please unmute and speak. Okay. So Prachi is saying she doesn't have the link. How do we get this link to Prachi? Gurdeep, can you see the link
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the...
it's visible. You have just shared in the chat box.
Yeah. So just tell
WhatsApp
her
link.
to find it. Please go to the chat box. Prachi, जहां आपने लिखा है have not received link, sir, उसी के ऊपर link है. Okay. सो ये आप लोगों को इसलिए नहीं नजर आ रहा क्योंकि ये एवरीवन को नहीं गया. आई विल जस्ट करेक्ट दैट. थैंक यू प्राची, गॉड ब्लेस यू. Prachi, have you found it now? You'll find it now. I'm sorry, I only shared with hosts and panelists. That's why Gurdeep and me were
Yeah,
smuggling
yeah.
in. हमको मिल गया. देखिए कितना केयरफुल रहना पड़ता है इमर्जिंग लिटरेसीज में, और आपने भी हमें सिखा दिया इमर्जिंग लिटरेसीज क्या होता है. अब आप एक काम कीजिए, आपकी चैट बॉक्स में इमोजीज एनेबल्ड हैं, एक इमोजी भेजिए हमें. देखें कि किस किस ने चैट बॉक्स ढूंढ लिया और आपको आपके ऊपर क्या इफेक्ट हुआ इस छोटी सी कॉन्वर्सेशन के बाद जो हमने पिछले 40 मिनट में की है. जस्ट चूज एन इमोजी एट रैंडम एंड सेंड अस एन इमोजी इन द चैट बॉक्स. लेट मी सी व्हाट पीपल सेंड. Just send an emoji. Don't write anything. Don't write your name. Just choose an emoji and mark. Thank you, Khushi. That's a brilliant one. Thank you, Prachi. Khushi, you sent the most powerful emoji. Thank you, Garima. अरे वाह सलमान साहब, आपने तो सोचने में मजबूर कर दिया. थैंक यू रिटा, गॉड ब्लेस यू. मुर्शीद, बहुत बहुत प्यार आपको. कंचन, लेट एवरीवन नो एट जोधामल हम जम्मू जल्द पहुंच रहे हैं. हमारी ट्रेन बलिया से चल चुकी है, अब जम्मू की तरफ जा रही है. जम्मू के बाद हमारी ट्रेन रांची वापस जाएगी, फिर रांची से गाजियाबाद आएगी. और हमें गुरदीप मिलना नहीं चाहती, इसलिए हम नोएडा नहीं जा रहे, हम गाजियाबाद चले जाएंगे.
No, no, sir. I'll come to Ghaziabad this time.
सो जो हमारी ट्रेन है जिगजैग करती हुई जा रही है, और मुझे उम्मीद है कि हम राजस्थान, उत्तर प्रदेश, पंजाब, जम्मू कश्मीर, एनसीआर और हो सकता है मध्य प्रदेश कोशिश करेंगे. ये जो हमारे 10 इमर्जिंग लिटरेसीज वाले जो सेशन है, इससे हम नॉर्थ को कवर करें. और अगले साल मुझे उम्मीद है हमारा फोकस साउथ पे रहेगा. और खुदा खुदा अगर हमें मौका देगा सेवा करने का, तो हमें कोशिश हमारी है कि 50 सेशंस करने की. तो ये बहुत बड़ा टारगेट हमने लिया है. और सबसे इंटरेस्टिंग चीज ये है कि इन सेशन में मैं ट्रैवल बिल्कुल नहीं करूंगा, क्योंकि अब हमारे पास टीम है और हमारे पास बहुत सारे आप जैसे लोग हैं जो ट्रेन हो रहे हैं. आप ट्रैवल करेंगे और आप लर्निंग को आगे ले जाएंगे. ये रिले रेस है, मुझे बेटन हैंड करना है, और मैं बेटन हैंड ओवर कर रहा हूँ. और खुशी का हाथ ऊपर है बोलने के लिए. खुशी का हाथ देखिए कहाँ पे है और क्या खुशी लाता है आपको. खुशी का हाथ कोई पकड़े, उसे प्लीज अनम्यूट कर दो. और खुशी अपना हाथ उठाए बैठी है. आइए खुशी, आप टॉक रूम में आ गए.
First of all, good evening, sir.
थैंक यू खुशी, गॉड ब्लेस यू. गो हेड.
Yeah, so I had like no question right now, but I just wanted to, say something about the book right now.
प्लीज.
Yeah, so as we, talked about the cover, we discussed the cover. So yeah, it was fascinating, and the writer itself, his name was Yuval, no, like that. But I had a question about him that um he has his husband. Like, okay, I got that. So is he also the husband of his husband or not? I'm so sorry, but
दैट्स अ क्वेश्चन ऑफ फ्यूचर. गुरदीप, आई एम बोल्ड हो गए तो गूगली
Oh
लगा
my
दिया.
God.
इसी
Oh
हस्बैंड
my God. The
ऑफ
question, I
दैट्स
was not expecting this question.
that's
What
how
a
this generation
thinking.
can think. I said that's
Yeah.
how this generation can think. Now, I think what we will do, we will send a message to Yuval. Yuval, are you a husband of the husband? Kushi, why don't you write and find his handle somewhere and write to him that you asked this question in the session, and I'm sure you'll get a brilliant answer from him. Thank you. That is a fantastic thought-provoking question. Beautiful. So, yes, sir. Must visit Delhi also. Good. Prachi, thank you for that. Ria from Baliya, thank you. I hope you enjoyed the session today. This was the last part of today's session. You people attended the morning session, and this is the closing session. So what we'll try and do, we'll capture this session in a YouTube video and we will embed that in the newsletter. Now I'm sharing all of you something very interesting. This message will go to everyone. www.gsi.in. That's it. It's a simple domain, three-letter domain, gsi.in. GSI stands for goodschoolsindia.in. अगर आपने अपने स्कूल को गुड बनाना है तो प्लीज goodschoolIndia.in पे जाके सब्सक्राइब कर लीजिए. और आप अगर किसी सैटरडे को नहीं आ पाएंगे तो ये कंटेंट आपके इनबॉक्स में आ जाएगा, और इनबॉक्स में सारे वीडियो लिंक्स होंगे। हमारे सेशन सैटरडे को 3:30 बजे एक सेशन होता है, और सैटरडे को 5:30 बजे होता है। फिर तीसरा सेशन संडे को 10:30 बजे होता है। हम केवल सैटरडे और संडे को सेशंस करेंगे, अब हम वीक सेशन नहीं करेंगे। तो इसलिए अगर आप चाहें, अगर आप टीचिंग पे कुछ डायलॉग करना चाहते हैं, बातचीत करना चाहते हैं, 3:30 बजे मीटिंग होती है, वेबिनार नहीं। 5:30 बजे वेबिनार होता है। जो 3:30 बजे वाला सेशन है उसको बोलते हैं लर्निंग फॉरवर्ड, जो टीचर्स एकेडमी का सेशन है। इन दैट वी डिस्कस अ टिपिकल क्लासरूम एंड द चैलेंजेस यू फेस इन द क्लासरूम। At 5:30 we are talking of what you should know, what can take your learning forward. So इसका जो level of discussion और level of I would say little higher than the afternoon session. Afternoon session is based more on preparing you to become a teacher for the classroom today. But this session is saying that classroom today is irrelevant, and let us see what you need for the future. So that's the difference in the two sessions that happen on Saturday. I had the privilege of attending today's session. It is a very interesting one. It talks of things like war versus peace. It talks of copy versus not to copy. So typical things you face in a classroom. And Brinda Ghosh anchors that session. This session, I'm trying to anchor with Gurdeep. I hope she will get a chance to read and take it ahead. We will do that together. In case any one of you wishes to collaborate in the Emerging Literacies program, send me a direct message. There is a number I will write. This is our business WhatsApp number, but I will be forwarded your messages which you send me to, and we will add you to the relevant communication group. So we have a community which has about 7, 8, 9 working groups. So when you write to us, tell us your area of interest, and we'll find a group which will help you take your learning forward and help you understand what is learning for the future. Thank you. I'm sorry I can't make it to Baliya. I couldn't make it to Baliya. I think I sent an ambassador in Kunal, and I'm sure you must have enjoyed meeting him. A small story before we go. Kunal is a boy I met in Bali village in the year 2013. Bali is a small village. I've told you this story somewhere before. It's in Rajasthan between Jodhpur and Udaipur. It doesn't have any airport. It's on the route. It's on the foothills near the Jawai Dam, near the Leopard Park, and it's near the Ranakpur temple, which is a 650-year-old Jain temple. It's in the heart of Jain Tirath Yatra. So बाली में एक छोटा सा स्कूल है जहाँ मैंने कुछ काम किया था, जहाँ मैंने सब कुछ सीखा जो मैं आपसे बात कर रहा हूँ। मैंने अपनी स्कूलिंग की मास्टर्स की थी फैब इंडिया स्कूल में। मुझे कुणाल वहाँ 2013 में मिला था, और वो कुणाल 13 साल से मेरे साथ है। एक छोटा सा बच्चा जो बड़ा हुआ, जिसने पढ़ाई की, जिसने ग्रेजुएशन की, और ग्रेजुएशन के बाद आज उसने कहा कि मुझे अपनी लर्निंग को आगे ले जाना है। उसने एक गैप ईयर लिया। ये भी एक नई चीज है आप लोगों के लिए, बाय द वे। आप टीचर्स में हिम्मत नहीं है, आप अपने जॉब में गैप लेके कुछ अपनी वोकेशन फॉलो करें। इट टेक्स करेज टू डू दैट। So he has taken a gap year and he's come to work in the Learning Forward India organization. He will travel like a fellow across the country to these 10 locations, and that's where he'll understand what is in store for his life. Thank you, Kunal, for helping me narrate that experience and experiment and share your small story. God bless you. Over to you, Gurdeep, to wrap up. And if Manisha wants to say something, she is welcome. Only on one condition, you have to have video on. If you don't have a video on, please don't speak. That's an important part, because that's also an emerging truth and transparency. Over to you, Gurdeep.
Nothing to say much, sir, but this book, the introductory part that we have read today, I think this book seems very relevant in today's time, keeping in mind the time is changing at a rapid rate, and looking forward to these sessions. And I hope everyone has enjoyed the session, and looking forward to meet everyone.
Gurdeep, before you go, can you share the URL of the YouTube channel? Name of the YouTube
Okay.
channel is My Good School, because this session will be available on YouTube channel by late evening today. It goes to processing, it takes half an hour, but normally we replay the video before you see it once, so that's why it takes a little longer for us to share it with you. Just add the YouTube channel. It's very simple. youtube.com/@My Good School. No gaps, just My Good School. We keep talking of My Good School, My Good School. आप सब लोग अपने स्कूल को अच्छा स्कूल कहते हैं और हमारे लिए सब स्कूल अच्छे हैं। हमारे कोई भी बैड स्कूल नहीं है दुनिया में। ये जो इस वक्त जमाना है, ये है कोलैबोरेशन का। सो ये कोलैबोरेशन का जमाना है, इसमें कोई बैड स्कूल नहीं हो सकता। आप हर एक स्कूल में कुछ ना कुछ सीखते हैं। और जाने से पहले एक मैं आपको पैराग्राफ पढ़ के सुनाऊंगा। लेट मी जस्ट गुरदीप जस्ट एक्सप्लेन मी दिस वन। गिव मी वन मोमेंट। टुडे इज एन एक्सेप्शनली लॉन्ग सेशन एंड आई नो यू ऑल weren't prepared for that. You had a long day. So I will just read what I wrote this morning on WhatsApp to the community. Why teachers should read this book. Harari argues that schools are still fundamentally designed for the Industrial Revolution, focusing on memorization and treating information like a scarce commodity. Today, information is overwhelmingly abundant, often to the point of misinformation. Teachers should read it because it redefines the ultimate goal of education. Thank you. And if you want to start the book, start with chapter 19. It's a very powerful chapter. And the chapter 19's core is how it explains what the core 4 C's are. You will need critical thinking, you will need communication, you will need collaboration, and you'll need creativity. That's emerging literacies, and that's the future. Thank you for that. Thank you for the 4 C's. Have a wonderful Sunday. And yes, if Manisha would have come here, she would have said, please come to my good school on Sunday morning. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.